What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XYO today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It is the 20th day of September, and here we are with about 8 hours left in this day. 1 day, 8 hours left in the week here, sitting at 1 cent. We're checking back in because it's been a little bit, it's been like a week and a half since we talked about XYO. We're at this point, we're at this like kind of critical mass point, this breaking point where we're about to choose a direction, right? Up or down. And I really do think that it is going to be to the upside. And when XYO breaks out, I truly wouldn't be surprised at all if the move that corresponds with that break is larger than anything we've seen this cycle, right? From here, from this move, which is pretty damn spectacular last time, this move, which is also pretty spectacular, I think we're going to get an even more spectacular move. It's going to be miraculous. Here we are at about 1 cent. We could be pushing as high as 10 cents or more by the end of October, right? It's the end of September now. Within the next 4 to 6 weeks, maybe in early November, we're going to be up at that area. I do expect that we'll consolidate somewhere in November. I actually have a big theory about a kind of correction that's going to happen in November. We'll go over that whenever it's time. It's far away. What's the point of talking about it now when everybody's emotions are going to get jacked up in October from being high? It'll be better to bring that up whenever the time's there. But we'll see. We'll see. It's still far away. It's just it's a cyclical hunch. Let's just call it that. Looking at this here, being at 1 cent, I don't know if I want to take it from this chart actually. Let's look at some of the shorter term stuff before we get into the longer term stuff, just because I'm not sure if this is the proper high. I think it is, but oh, and that is from November 2021. Okay, let's do that. Let's actually do that here. It is from November 2021. So from the high of last cycle in November to the low here in the bear market. It's not the actual low, but the low of the move. We're not going to take the fake out lows. High to low here. The intended targets by the end of this cycle for XYO, I mean, at a minimum, the 1272 is the minimum target. That's about a 19.6x, which automatically tells us that we've got, at a minimum, we've got average expectations. I made a video yesterday talking about how the average, and we talk about it maybe like every week or two, where we do those kind of videos talking about the average expectations for the average altcoin. Expecting that the average coin does about an 18 to a 21x, something in that kind of area, or 19 to 21x. This is about average. What's great about that is, again, this is your minimum target. It's the first target in this overall primary target zone, okay? XYO, being around as long as it's been around for multiple cycles. It's been around since 2018, you guys. XYO, having a $140 million market cap, you could see this thing 100x. You could see it 1000x. I doubt that we get above $100 billion by the end of the cycle, but it could happen. You don't see $100 billion or more in any kind of crypto project unless it's been around for multiple cycles, and this thing has been. I doubt that we get to $100 billion this cycle. Maybe in time, maybe. Nothing's ever promised, but I really would expect that by the end of the cycle, we see this thing hitting prices that are above $1. I truly would not be surprised at all. A 100x from here would put you above $1. A 200x would put you above $2. And you could see anything from 100x to 400x, even more than that. 100x puts you at $14 billion in market cap, right? Yeah, that's $14 billion. 200x would be 28 billion. 56 is a 400x. I mean, the sky's the limit. You could see more than that. Absolutely, you could. Whenever I said a 1000x potential is possible with this thing, it absolutely is, but just maybe not by the end of this cycle, right? This next move, I wouldn't think that by the end of October you're all the way up here, but maybe by the end of the year you could expect to see something like this, let alone by the end of the cycle. At a bare minimum, we're looking for that 20 cent target area, okay, which would be about a 19, almost a 20x from here. I would think that there's a very solid chance that also kind of at a lower level expectation, we see a 65 cent price by the end of the cycle, which provides like a 63, 62x. And if we continue to grow to the areas that I think we're going to go to, we should see XYO anywhere from about $1.60 to maybe even as high as like $6 by the end of the cycle. Now, I wouldn't bet that we hit $6 by the end of the cycle. That would give XYO, let's see, that's a 500, and it'd be a little bit above the 2272. So let's just call it a 600x. 600x from here, from there, 14, 28, 56 plus 28, 84. $84 billion. It's attainable. It's definitely attainable, but we're pushing the envelope, I think, on what's possible by the end of the cycle. So $6, $84 billion is a lot of money. It definitely is. It's attainable, especially for a coin like this that's been around for multiple cycles. This isn't the all-time history, right? Again, it came out in 2018. But typically those kind of market caps, those $80 billion market caps, they're realized by coins that at this point in the cycle have kind of already had a $1 billion market cap. Not that you've already had it, but that are at one, that they're at a $1 billion market cap right now. So I don't know. I don't know if we see that kind of growth between now and the end of the cycle. There could be something big cooking up. You clearly are in a massive accumulative zone here. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. You clearly are in a massive accumulative zone, right? Higher lows, higher highs, moving sideways more or less over time, but you're just accumulating clearly. Once this breaks, and I think that in October it will break, you should get a bigger move than you've seen all cycle. And that's why I think maybe not by the, I think that in October it breaks, we break out, or going into the end of this month even, we break out, right, any week now. And that's why we're talking about it, is because the last time we talked about this was like 11 days ago, 10 days ago. Any week now, any day now, we're about to see this thing break. And when it breaks, I do think this will be the time that it actually takes off to new all-time highs. But that doesn't mean that we'll be at new all-time highs by the end of October, right? Maybe we're all the way up at 20 cents by the end of October. But I would think by the end of the year, that's a better kind of suited target point, okay? If not by the end of the year that we're there, maybe we're higher. And I would think by the end of the cycle, we really stand a chance to see prices around $1.60 to $2.34, okay? That's my expectation. Could we stop at 65 cents? Sure. Could we stop at $6? Sure. It absolutely could happen. We don't know what's in store for this thing. It's been consolidating for a very long time, but time will tell. I want to look at the all-time history real quick. You can see that I guess it doesn't really matter. I was going to say, you can see that the volume's low in these areas, and typically when the volume's low, if you look back at any of these breakout points, you have low levels of volume right before the breakout. Hopefully we get some volume coming in as we move higher. But looking at this on an all-time historical perspective, again, you can just see what you're doing here, right? You consolidated, you found support, you really accumulated here at your prior points of resistance here, your prior consolidation phase here, and you're only showing more productiveness and positivity. I highly doubt that you're doing anything but acquiring and sucking up the supply here at these levels. From the low of the cycle to where you are now, you're up about 3.7x from April of this year. And I was actually making a video talking about a coin just like this, right? Let's see. Is this April? Yeah, it's April 7th. I was saying that ideally you'd look for coins that are up more than 80% since April. Ideally you would look for coins that, I forget what they are from the base area of this cycle. Let's see. Others. Let me just look at this real quick. Let's see. It's taking its time to load. But essentially I was saying that doesn't mean that every coin, I was giving these parameters for coins that are going to be winners, but I did say that it doesn't apply necessarily to every coin. It's just kind of a standard opinion. XYO, being that it's only moved up 80% from its lower, that right now it's up 42%, where the average altcoin is up about 85% from its April low. It would make it seem as though it's underperforming the average altcoin, and it has been since April. But really, I think you're just set up. I think you're accumulating. I think that really your chart looks beneficial to such a degree that you will outperform the average altcoin going forward. And again, I don't think that it applies to every coin, the logic that I used in that recent video, if you guys know which video I'm referencing, but let me just show you here, right? 84% since April, that's what the average coin is up right now. From the low to where we are right here, the average altcoin is up about 350%, 370%. XYO is not, it's up like 270%. But it's been a sleeper, and even though it's been a sleeper, it's got very phenomenal growth going on as far as the chart's concerned. It looks like it's in an accumulative phase. I would very much expect that we see this thing pop again to a larger effect than what we saw last time. And if we do pop to a larger effect, I mean, anything comparable would put us at a 9x, 10x, your all-time highs, new all-time highs by the end of October. And that kind of movement there in itself validates what I'm saying here, right? Because I think it's very clear that this is the kind of move that we should expect. That kind of movement would validate exactly what I'm saying here, is that XYO is going to outperform the average altcoin. Because between now and October, the average altcoin is projected to do something on the lines of like a 3x move to a 4x move, maybe a 2.5x move at the least, right? 8x move, 9x move for XYO is definitely outperforming. So once we see this, once we take off and we check back in probably by the end of October. I'll make videos by then, I'll make videos once we break out, but once we see how we're doing at the end of October, I think we'll have a real clear idea as to how high this thing is going to go. And again, if if at the worst that this thing does by the end of the cycle, all we get is a 20-cent price from here that's still about average expectations. That is the minimum target. And I very much, with how you look here, I would very, and just the overall, the health of this chart from a historical basis, that's why we're looking at it like this. I would very much expect that we at least see new all-time highs, which the minimum target would be 20.6 cents. I genuinely believe 65 cents, $1.60 or higher is possible. I don't really have anything else that I want to say. Again, just this area up here, that puts us at 150x to a 220x, and you could go a heck of a lot higher than that. But I got nothing else, you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. I do want to pull up one thing real quick. Let me just look, because I don't think we looked at this last time. Looking at the ribbons, let's see. Your weekly ribbon is crossing down. That's not good. That's actually not good. So what you want to do, actually, to be completely fair, you've done this before, where you crossed down and that you're actually at the low. So maybe the weekly ribbon's kind of false. Some charts, they give false signals. What you want to do, though, because it's not good, you don't want to cross lower. You want to get above about let's say 1.09. Get above 1 point, so it's 0.0109. 1.09 cents. $0.0109. Get above that on a weekly closing basis, and then you validate that you're moving higher. If we close below 0.0095, which thankfully is not that far away from here, if you close below 0.0095 on a weekly basis, we have some other things to talk about, okay? And I'll definitely let you guys know if it's time to flee from this thing rather than buy more. But I think that we're in a good buying zone. I don't think this thing's going to move down. What you've had so far as the cycle goes, what you've had so far as the life goes, it would be very surprising to me if you broke out to the downside. But anything can happen. You never know. It's good to be prepared. High to low here. Yeah, you went from your 786. You're holding support at the 382. This is bullish, you guys. Whenever you rip through to the golden ratio, man, I was looking for an example in one of my earlier videos talking about Onyx coin. Right here, you went to your 0.5, and then what'd you do? You ripped through your golden ratio. This is a perfect example of what I was trying to talk about. It's bullish. It's a bullish thing. The fact that you didn't go to your 236, I think, is actually even more bullish. That's a testament to strength here, because typically you do, when you run up through your golden ratio to the 786, you typically do go to the 236. So the fact that you held support here, I think, looks good. I'd like to see you get above 1.09 cents. 1.09 cents. Okay, get above there. Weekly ribbon looks questionable here, but again, whenever you crossed up here, you were basically done with this move. You had like 2 more weeks of growth, and then you crossed down. When you cross down here, you're at the low points. It hasn't really been too effective, this ribbon, and that's probably because you've been moving sideways. When you move sideways, these ribbons are less reliable, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Monthly time frame still positively orchestrated here. We look at the daily time frame. My daughter is playing rough, it sounds like, in there. The daily time frame, I would equate it to the same as the weekly time frame. You're clearly not respecting it. You've been moving sideways. That's what you get. So just move up here, and we won't have any problems. And if you move up, there's a very good chance that you see 100x or more by the end of the cycle. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.